everybody! So it's a little bit strong for me, so I think, are you going to have a go with it?
I'll try it.
With this seed. Are there any manoeuvres that are particularly good for high wind?
No, let's go.
Go on then!
Alright. So we could do taking it up in high wind, keeping it up in high wind and what to do and what not to do, and how to bring it down. Is bad bangs supposed to mean bad sex?
No, bad bangs is bad fringe.
I knew you were going to try to fuck around with my shit. So I'm going to try putting it up in 3 different ways. One, the normal way with the wing fully open, one with it all rosed up and bunched up in a flower, and one cobra launch. Brakes in my hand. Okay, so as you can see, I could put it up, rosed up and have some control, but for the most part it just inflates itself. If the wing is completely laid out, it just, without touching the aids, it just inflates, and even with a lot of brake, it won't stay down really. So that reflects to how you keep it up. You can touch the brakes a little bit like I'm doing, or you can use the C's to steer, but I think that's better for bigger wings really. For this wing, I prefer to put small sharp inputs to get it to turn where I want it to go, and then release the brakes so that they don't pull me. If I get into a power position like this, so I can really push with my legs, and so I'm at my most powerful. If I jam on the brakes, it's just gonna pull me, it's just not gonna die. I'll show you. And the problem with that is that that's the typical oh shit reaction, is you jam on the brakes. But in this situation, it's only gonna get you into a bigger mess. As soon as I let off the brakes, I can actually move upwind. If I keep jamming on the brakes, I'm gonna get pushed downwind more and more and more, and then I'm gonna get into more trouble. So I need to let my hands up. Jam in. The other way that I find useful to move yourself around the field is obviously let your hands up if you want to go into wind, pull the brakes if you want to go downwind, and do kind of like a side run, getting pulled by the wing if you want to go sideways. Okay, so once it's up, eventually you're gonna get tired or scared or whatever, you want to come down. With this wing, you can pull on the C's, pull on the B's, or try to kind of put it on your side like a cobra launch and get someone to grab your wingtip. Whatever you do, jamming on the brakes, if it's this high wind, really won't work. So I'm gonna try it just to see what happens. I'm gonna give myself plenty of space. suppose that works to some extent. Look at how much brake I had to pull and how small this wing is. So on a full-size wing, your arms are probably not long enough to pull that much line, even if you wanted, because on a bigger wing, this much brake will be even more length. And also, it eats up a lot of space. Look at where I started. I'm just gonna set the wing on my side with a little bit, with the wingtip exposed like this, and I should be able to pull it up. Main thing is I want to avoid setting it up with any tangles or cravats, because then that'll be a lot worse once it gets pulled up, but we'll see. So we've tried the brakes. I'm gonna try pulling on the C's now and then pulling on the B's and see which one is more comfortable.
You're gonna pull on the C's first.
That's not bad actually. That's not bad and it keeps it quite neat.
That's not bad and it keeps it quite neat.
Actually, I might prefer that.
Okay, here come the bees. So the bee stall is much messier in high wind.
Yeah. The other thing I'd say for ground handling in general, but especially in high wind, you always have to bear in mind where your grip is, or your feet, in position with your pivot point. Because it's always pulling you from here, from the carabiners. So, if you're really upright, like this, it's always going to pull you along. But if your feet are far that way, not necessarily, you don't necessarily need to be lying down, but if you lean into it, like if you were moving some heavy furniture, then you have the best chance to go upwind and not get pulled around downwind.
Just a disclaimer for anybody who's moving furniture, that's not how you do it.
So as most people know from launching, that's also the case if you're facing into wind and you're not in reverse. You want to be as far forward as possible, like that, and your feet to be as far behind the carabiners as possible, hence the torpedo or fighter jet position when you're launching. Ah.
Are you okay?
But even then, I find that in reverse position, you have a lot more leverage to go forward than you do when you're facing forward. It's very windy. Look at the windsock. I don't want to try the 360. I think it's a bit too strong. I don't want to try the and it was the frontal and getting turbulent. So I think I had enough. Rain has stopped now. That's better. I think hopefully you can hear us a bit better now. Some people have said, why ground handle the Seed if you can't fly it? Well, that's why I wouldn't do that with a full-size wing. And also,
I wouldn't do that with a Seed.
But also I know that a lot of you have a lot more experience than me, so if you have any tips and tricks, don't forget to leave them down in the comments so that we can all learn together. And yeah, hope that was useful.
As always, we'd like to thank our sponsors BGD and all these people on Patreon. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.